Fear stops more entrepreneurs than failure ever could. It's not the obstacle, it's the excuse. And today I'm going to not only expose fear for what it really is, but I'm also going to give you the bulletproof strategy around it and how you can prosper, right? It doesn't matter if you're an early entrepreneur trying to make your first dollar, or if you're a seasoned vet making 6 or 7 figures. Everybody faces fear, but it's how we handle it that differs, right? Welcome to Everything Entrepreneurship with Kyle Jerome Carter. Kyle Jerome Carter. Full name, initials, doesn't matter as long as he's one of the two. And I was called to really make this episode because I hear so many people in this last week, if not say, hey, I'm afraid of this thing, it's just conveyed through the conversation. And I know more than anybody how crippling fear can be, right? Let's start with a story. I remember when I first started my agency, SVSM. It's grown now, obviously, to do digital media marketing for businesses, companies, brands, etc. But when I first started during the pandemic, it was literally a marketing agency for car dealerships. I had to take what I knew and I had to make some money. I just left my 9 to 5, just cold, just left. And granted, I don't suggest that for many people. You have to really be made for it. And that's another reason why I'm making my content to help working professionals transition into entrepreneurship full time if that's what they wish, or have entrepreneurship as a side hustle, whatever it may be. But regardless, I just left my job and it's 2020. So this is literally like right before the pandemic. I just left my job and I said, I need to make money. What do I know? My mentor told me that every company is basically a marketing company that just so happens to sell a different product or service. So I said, all right, marketing is where the money is. Working in the bank, I saw a lot of people that had money, people that didn't have money, and the business owners were the ones that typically had the money. You feel me? I always say there's about 4 or 5 different types of people that really have money compared to people that don't. But regardless, back to the story. I just left dealership, so I knew something about how dealership worked, right? And I knew a little bit about marketing. Technically, compared to what I know now, let's just say I didn't really know that much. But I had enough in the tank to get me to where I have to go. And I remember I bought a course, actually. I bought a course for like $100. I was watching YouTube videos and I would see this pre-roll ad of this guy talking about, hey, I wouldn't even let it finish. After like 5 seconds skip, the ad came back again, 5 seconds skip. It literally took months for me to allow one of his ads to play fully. And he was basically saying, hey, you need to basically start marketing or open up a marketing agency for car dealerships, used car dealerships at that. And he listed off these reasons why. And it made sense to me, right? And I said, you know what, maybe. A couple more months went by. I'm still trying to figure other stuff out, just marketing in general, learning a little bit here and there. And then I said, screw it, because he had a sale. And I think initially the course was $300, and then it was on sale for $89. So I bought the course for $89, and it had a good amount of value in there, at least to get the job done. And he basically was saying, hey, you can run ads for used car dealerships and you can get paid off of cars sold from the appointments that come in, not just off the leads. And that was a shift in the market because most people were just selling leads and they wanted money, right? And when you have cars.com, you have all these other platforms that have leads and have people searching for stuff. It was a different approach. Less risk to the dealership. All they had to do was pay for ads. So I went through the whole course, got my stuff together, and I was excited, right? But you know when I wasn't excited? When it was time to actually go inside a dealership and pitch my offer or have a conversation. I still remember in New Jersey, like South Jersey, you know, that Cherry Hill area, if you're familiar. But for some reason, the dealerships that I was able to get through to enough to actually give me the time of day for a conversation just happened to be in North Jersey. Shout out Newark, because that's where I got a lot of work done. But as I got closer to the dealerships, I just felt this feeling of I was like, what is this? I feel uneasy. I have like what they call butterflies in my stomach. And I was afraid. And I remember to this day, every time I had to actually go into a dealership, I would sit there, maybe like a couple minutes away, like 2 minutes away. And I wasn't panicking, hyperventilating or anything like that. But I was truly afraid. I was like, oh my goodness. Everything went through my brain. What if this? What if that? Why am I doing this? I don't even know that. Just some normal stuff. Had a had to make that mindset shift, you know. But every single time I went into a dealership, I would say a little prayer, and I would say the same thing. And I haven't had to say it now, but or I haven't had to say it recently. But basically, I would say, "Hey God, I need your help when I'm going in here. I need you to hold on to my fear for about 15 minutes. And as soon as I get out, you can give me all the fear back. But I really need this. So I'm asking for you to just hold on to my fear for about 15 minutes while I'm in here and then give it back to me." That's what I did. You know, I had my music playing. I remember I had my Tame Impala playing, borderline on track, everything I had to go to feel good. I had my coffee, and then I just went in and I got it. Now, granted, I got a whole bunch of no's. I got so many no's. I got hell no. What the hell are you doing? Get out of here. Like, actually, but that didn't stop me because I was on a mission. And I probably went through about 20 used car dealerships before I got my first yes. But how did I get my first yes? I remember I was living with a roommate, and granted, this is COVID time. People don't really know exactly what's happening. You got masks on and stuff like that, but no money was coming in. Back then, I was doing like whatever I could. I mean, granted, I was doing like Uber and Lyft like years before that. But I remember I told my roommate, I was like, "Hey, I'm about to go to this dealership, and one of two things is going to happen. Either I'm going to get this client, or you're going to have to bail me out the police station, because I'm going to tell them I'm not leaving until I make them my client." And I was prepared to do that. I went all the way up to North Jersey, drove up there with that conviction, and I laid it out. And it just so happened that I was able to close that deal and get my first client. And before I knew it, I had 2 clients. And before I knew it, I had 3 clients. Now, getting results was a whole nother story. Getting the clients is one part. Getting results is another. Before you get into the groove, you feel me? But when it comes to the fear that kept me from wanting to go in and wanting to put my money where my mouth is, walk the walk, talk the talk, not just talk the talk, walk the walk, not just talk the talk. It was hard. I was making it harder than it needed to be. But we wouldn't be here today if I didn't overcome that. And far too often, I know so many people that allow fear to stop them. They allow fear of a past situation to keep them from trying their best right now. I know so many people that are like, "I'm trying this thing, but I don't want to get too excited because I'm afraid that if I get excited and it doesn't work, then I'm just going to feel even worse." And I say, screw that. If you're trying to do something, you're trying to do something for a reason. So when you go in, or if you're waiting for a response, you think the best. You think, you know what, this is in the bag. Whatever's for me is for me. I did my thing and I'm going to make it happen. And in the event that you get a no, it is what it is. You learn from it and you move on. Don't ever lower yourself or lower your expectation because you're not attracting what you want at that point, right? If I have a goal, let's say one of the biggest law firms in New York City, we were going back and forth for my agency, and granted, things didn't work out, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Got to take a lesson from everything. But I remember, and this is another aspect that'll help you get across or get through fear. I remember I was prepping for this, and I made the mistake of telling somebody how excited I was, and they planted a seed of fear and doubt. I was like, "Hey, they're literally like the number 2 law firm in all of New York City, and we're about to have a conversation with the COO, and after this, it's the CEO. We already had like a full like scope of work, everything like that. And we didn't even get a chance to really do the proposal or presentation the way we wanted to. But it was the conversation that I had with that associate. And I was like, hey, this is what I'm about to do. And they're like immediately it went to, well, why isn't this working? You've been doing this, you've been doing that. And it was so foreign that I realized that they weren't even speaking to me about what I was talking about. They had been bottling something up associated with me and my business, and they were letting it out through that conversation. And when I tell you, when I got on the phone, I was on the phone with my partner to talk to COO. I don't want to say paralyzed. I was fumbling. I dropped the ball, and thankfully my partner, he made up for it. Not only does he know what he's talking about to the highest level, he's very eloquent as well. And we were able to maneuver it the way we could. Now, does that mean that we didn't necessarily get that law firm as a client because I fumbled the ball? No, that doesn't mean that. But what it does mean is I allowed somebody else to dictate how I felt because I let them inside, right? And that's another thing you can't do. When it comes to entrepreneurship, and I'm going to make a line right here. When it comes to entrepreneurship, I'm not the person that's going to just keep on saying it worked for me, so it has to work for you. Taking a holistic view of entrepreneurship and business in general, I know that people are different, motivated differently, have gone through different things, can execute different things, have different skills, strengths, and aptitudes. So when I say this as a broad stroke, you can't let fear, you can't let fear take control. It's grounded in a real place, and it's not just because this happened to me. What you'll find is when you allow other people in on something that's growing, kind of like how when you're baking a cake or bread, maybe, if something disturbs it while it's in the oven, it could just fall, right? I forget the exact term, but that's basically how your goal or dream can be. Like, to be completely honest, if I'm being 100% honest, my vision of the future and everything that I know I'm going to attain, I can only tell 100% of what I have planned to maybe like 3 people. Like, different people in my life get a different percentage of that goal. Like, honestly, obviously my business partner can hear 100% of that. And I know that it's there. I don't have to worry about a repercussion. And it's not about a repercussion of somebody tempering expectations. It's about the fact that it's proven that I can make this happen. And all I have to do is execute and allow the time to take its course. I have some friends that I can only tell 85% of my goal. I have some friends I can only tell 50% of my goal. Shoot, my own family, I could probably tell 60%. Because once it gets past that percentage, for example, if I tell family past 60%, if I say, hey, this is 65% my goal, I know the type of energy I'm going to get, and that's going to detract from what I have to do to get it done, right? That doesn't mean that these people around you are wrong for thinking what they're thinking. It's just something that you have to guard, you know? A famous quote that I've heard before, God gave the vision to you for a reason. He didn't give it to them. So it's your job to just fulfill it and just do the work. And that's how I take it. So when you're facing fear, whether you're just starting, it could be to make your first piece of content, to actually publish it. You might have finally got the guts to record something or create something, whether it's just a post, a picture, a video, but you're overcome with fear and you don't want to actually press publish or post, whatever it may be. If you're a successful, let's just quote unquote, successful business owner, have a business for like a decade, whatever it may be, your fear might be making a big shift, letting somebody go, pivoting in the marketplace. Regardless, you can't allow fear to dictate your decisions. Especially in entrepreneurship, emotion should be the foundation, but I don't think that emotion is the best judgment for certain decisions, right? Now, you always should go with your gut. Not always, but you know what I'm saying. Most times you should go with your gut. But you have to look at the objective truth, look at the facts, what's been consistent, and then move off that. What's the data telling you? But when we take a moment, not just my story, but we put it on you, what are you going through, right? There might be financial ways that you're experiencing fear. There might be emotional ways, mental ways, physical ways, spiritual ways that you're experiencing fear. And it's on you to overcome it. But we don't want fear to be an excuse, because in most times that's what it is. Most times we're afraid of things or even feel anxious about things that don't even happen, right? It's not your responsibility to tell others your fear, but it is your responsibility to face it. And one of the most common things that I hear from entrepreneurs and business owners is, I was afraid to make a decision, so I put it off. And because I put it off, it just grew into this thing and it's out of control. I'll tell you 2 things right now that you need to do as an entrepreneur and business owner. You need to, one, handle tough conversations and make. You need to have tough conversations with the people you have to have them with, whether it's business or personal. And the other thing is, you need to move swiftly. Does that mean move with impulse? No, but you need to make decisions in earnest. And earnest isn't even the right word. I don't know why I said that. But you need to make decisions. You can't keep putting stuff off. That's a form of procrastination. And fear will allow you to just prolong something, opposed to just tackling it, whether it's an important conversation that you need to have with somebody, friend, family, coworker, employee, or if it's a decision that needs to be made, don't put it off. The sooner you do those 2 things, the better everything will be. And both of those things are rooted in fear, right? People are like, okay, well, what do I do to overcome my fear? Well, the first thing you have to do is truly identify it. You might know exactly what it is. You might know what you're afraid of in a sense, but you don't know the specifics of it, right? If we go back to that example of when I was first trying to get a car dealership for my marketing agency, back in the day when that was the goal, car dealerships. Was I afraid of going into a dealership to get a sale? I could probably say yeah. But what was it really? It took a moment for me to say, you know what? I'm afraid of getting a no from having a conversation. Or I'm afraid of not even being able to get a conversation. And that's what I need to tackle. And that's what I did tackle. So one of the best things that you can do, especially if it's having tough conversations, is to have more of them. To have conversations with people that are in that exact or similar position. I remember before I started going into more places, because like I said, I went through so many places before I got a yes, I started calling car dealerships and having conversations with management. And again, these are all used car dealerships at the time. But I said, if talking to a decision maker, talking to a manager is what I'm afraid of, I need to have more of these conversations so that by the time I get to the conversations I really need to have, I'm much more comfortable, right? So I would call in and have conversations with these assistant managers. Initially, I played it off like, hey, I'm thinking about a car. But then I say, you know what? We're trying to get a client. We're trying to make some money, right? I want to have a conversation with the management, and I want to have a conversation about what they're experiencing right now, kind of like a survey. Most things you can blow off as a survey when you're trying to reach somebody, because the gatekeeper or secretary, whatever it might be, is hesitant to allow a random person calling to speak to the owner, manager, boss, whatever it might be, right? So I would say, hey, I'm calling to do a survey, how COVID has affected car dealerships, and I want to speak to a person of upper management. And granted, I didn't necessarily pitch myself or my business, whatever it might be, but I wanted to have more of these conversations that initially made me uncomfortable so I could then become more comfortable, if that makes sense, right? And there's 5 pillars that you could experience fear in. And I named them briefly, but just to recap, you have spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, and financial. And most people have fears in all 5. Most people have more fears in one of those buckets than all 5. But one of the best things that you can do is to actually write stuff down. I want you to write and think only of solutions to those fears. As a business owner, especially if you've had employees, you don't want people bringing you problems unless they also have a solution in mind. Now, granted, when you're the boss and somebody says, hey, this is my problem, hey, this isn't working, we would much rather somebody say, hey, this isn't working, but I thought about this. Taking that initiative is so much better than just saying, hey, I got a problem. Granted, when you're the boss, you have to fix problems. Like I said a couple episodes back, we're problem solvers. But at the same time, when you're tackling such an intimate issue like your fears, I want you to only think of solutions to these fears. I don't want you thinking about why these fears are so bad and everything that could go wrong. Monday through Friday, that's 5 days a week. There's 5 pillars. Monday, I want you to write down solutions that you have for your spiritual fear. Tuesday, I want you to write down solutions that you have for your mental fear. Wednesday, I want you to write down solutions you have for your emotional fear. Thursday, I want you to write down solutions for your physical fear. And then Friday, I want you to write down solutions for your financial fear. Now, I said write down solutions. I didn't say I want you to go solve them. I said I want you to start writing them down. Because most people, and granted, the closed-minded people won't even make it this far. But if you're still here, I believe that you're open-minded. And if you're open-minded, I know you can get through this. So I want you to write down solutions. Pen and paper. Let's get old school, right? It's crazy that we have to say old school. Typing it down is cool. But how about you type it down after you write it down? This is how I could solve this problem. This is another way I could solve this problem. This is another way I could solve this problem. If at the end of this session, and it shouldn't take long, it can take long, and you can't be afraid if it should take long. If it's going to take you an hour to come up with 3 or 4 solutions for this fear in that specific category, then it is what it is. If it takes you 20 minutes, then it is what it is. But I want you writing solutions. This would help. This would help. This would solve it. And then most people tend to see a pattern. If they finally have what it takes to write the solutions, I don't want to say most times, because again, I don't have a big enough pool of people to just be the authority on solutions. You feel me? But I'd like to say there's a majority of people that at first are going to write down that other people are responsible or the key to solving that solution instead of themselves, right? So let's say you got 2 weeks. You say, you know what, KJC, you're spitting facts. I want to overcome my fear. So Monday, I'm going to write down solutions to this fear. Tuesday, I'm going to write down solutions, right? All the way through. And the second week, you think about, I wrote down that these are the 3 solutions to this fear, but none of those require me doing work. If this person changed, if this person allowed it, if the world was this way. Now, do you deserve a cookie for doing the first step? No. But in this era, it's recognized. At that point, you did well because you did the first step. To finish this and to overcome your fear, you have to start now listing after you've taken a moment. The first part is literally just, I'm coming up with solutions. The next part is, how can I contribute to those solutions? Because as people say, it can be a lonely world and you're responsible for you, nobody else. You're grown. Spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, financial, it doesn't matter. How can you now fix these things? It doesn't all have to happen overnight. It's a marathon, it's not a sprint. But you do have to take a moment to say, what is it that I can do? This is my responsibility. This is my life. I know myself more than anybody else. How can I fix this? And the more you start exposing yourself to these different fears and you understand that these solutions can really work, you're going to have a understanding that this isn't really a fear. Like, this is just a little speed bump. This isn't a whole blockade, right? And affirmations are another thing. Confirmation bias is a hell of a thing. It can work in goods. It can work in bads. or I guess it can work in good ways and bad ways, right? What you tell yourself, or I forget exactly how the quote goes. If you tell yourself a lie long enough, you start to believe it. So how about you make that lie something positive about yourself and how you can impact yourself and your loved ones in a positive way, right? And it's so true. If you truly make these affirmations, I'm going to give you another gem. What I did, and I I definitely want to start doing this more. Every single morning, I would write down 11 different lines, right? If you are on YouTube, I'm going to put this outline in the link below in like a Google Doc. And if you're on the podcast and you're just listening, I want you to go to YouTube, like and subscribe, and then also click on that link. With this having the ultimate goal to get rid of fear, and you're not going to get rid of it 100%. It's like a big rotating thing, right? You get rid of some come up, but you're trained to overcome it, right? You know how to handle the situation. We write these 11 affirmations in the morning because one, the morning sets the tone for your day. You're still waking up, and this is when you're the most impressionable. Two, this is when you have the most energy, technically, decision energy, activation energy, all that stuff. But basically, this is what you're going to write down. Number one, you're going to write down your personal affirmation. Number two, you're going to write down your business affirmation. Number three, you're going to write down your relationship affirmation. Number four, your business affirmation. And then number five, I want you to write one thing that you did right yesterday. And then number six, I want you to write another thing you did right the day before, yesterday. Number seven, I want you to write down one thing you did wrong the day before, like yesterday. Number eight, I want you to write down what you will do differently going forward. Number nine, I want you to write one thing that you're grateful for. And then number 10, I want you to write what's written on your focus card. We'll get to that in a second. And then number 11, I want you to write a quote to get you through the month. And this should change. We're going overboard today, but in a good way, right? Writing these 11 things every morning not only set the tone for your day, but also sets the tone for you as a person. Just about every one of those 5 aspects, I said just about, not all of them, but just about every one of those 5 aspects is going to be geared in the right direction and on the right frequency, because frequency is the word of the year. And you're going to just experience life in a different way because your desire now also has an expectation. You're expecting these things to happen more than if you didn't, because you thought it, you wrote it down, and if you speak it out loud afterward, it's going to do even more. Like I said, the link is going to be below for the YouTube video. And if you're listening, first off, thank you for listening, but go to YouTube and check it out. Now, number 10 said, what's written on your focus card? Your focus card could literally be a piece of paper that you fold up, and you literally just write a couple sentences, maybe 2 or 3 sentences, where you literally just take that goal, episode 1. If you haven't watched episode 1, go back to episode 1. And you just started off with saying, I'm so happy that I, boom. And then you basically write out how you experienced and already achieved your goal. So if your goal is to pass your human resources and you want to pass the SHRM exam to give you a higher certification, you're going to write down, I am so happy that I passed my SHRM exam on the first try, and now I'm in a position to get the job of my dreams. That's going to go on your focus card. We read our focus card every single day, multiple times a day if possible. And if you're a chick, you might want to put it in your purse. If you're a guy, you might want to put it in your wallet. So every single time that you reach for it, you see that card, you feel that card, and something goes off in your brain, right? Now, this is a nice compromise of practical and conceptual direction and information. And I like that because I love psychology. But all of this is geared to just overwhelm your fear. Fear can literally be crippling. Fear can literally make you sick. So in order to overcome that, we have to just be so cemented in the opposite direction to know that we're going to overcome it, that we're just gearing up with all the different tools needed and necessary to help us achieve it. Achieve what? Getting over the fear. So all your affirmations. So we have 1 through 4: personal affirmation, business affirmation, relationship affirmation, and financial affirmation. What do you want on a personal level, right? Speak it into existence. On a business level, what do you want to achieve? At a relationship level, it could be with your significant other, it could be with your friends or your family. Financial, what's your financial affirmation? And then after that, we write down what we did right yesterday. A business owner doesn't get the cheer, the you did a good job that they should. And that's why so many of us are so hard on ourselves. So you have to give it to yourself if nobody else is going to give it to you. So you have to take a moment to write down, I did a couple things right the day before. We beat ourselves up and we think, oh, I did this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. Everything is wrong. No. Write down 2 things you did right the day before. And then I want you to write down 1 thing that you did wrong. And then after that, I want you to write what are you going to do differently to change it. We're being proactive. And then you're going to write down 1 thing that you're grateful for. Again, you're going to write down what's on your focus card. Even if it's 4 or 5 sentences long, write it down. And then what's your quote to get you through? I remember when I was at the dealership, when I was working for my dealership, and I was the warranty administrator. You got to know the numbers, accounts, keep track of this, keep track of that on a system that is not the most user-friendly. And my backup, the guy that helped me, he was going on vacation, which he rightfully deserved. But he wasn't going to be able to be in contact for at least a week. So I had to prepare for when he wasn't going to be there. And I like to do this. I like to have a quote for the month. And I printed out on the wall, pressure makes diamonds. Because that's what I needed at that time. And that was what's also true. I always say, give me the pressure. I'm either going to buckle or I'm going to shine. Like I'm going to turn to a diamond. And that got me through. If you look behind me, my posters, I love my posters. I made all of these. Though all of these are not my quotes. Some of these are. But these are quotes that get me through every single day. I read these and I feel these on a deep level, right? We got the ship on fire. We came here to conquer. When we go home, it'll be in our ships. We will either win or die. Now burn the ships, right? Hernan Cortez, breaking through the maze. I've loved this picture. Circumstance. Hell, I make circumstance. I see only the objective. The obstacle must give way. I believe that's, I don't want to misquote. Is that Napoleon Hill? A guy standing, he already at the top of a mountain and he has to get to a higher top of another mountain. Says, putting in the work to achieve your goals is the only proof that you have as to whether you truly want something or not. Now, that's my favorite quote. I didn't come up with it, but I live by that. You could talk about something, but unless you're going to put in the work to get it, don't talk about it. And then lastly, if you know Bo Rakes, God said I'm the blessing. The blessing don't do no stressing. That's self-explanatory. But you need a quote. You need something that you can reference every single day to help get you through. Because the same way that you read that quote, the same way that you feel your focus card, the same way that you write these affirmations, we are not going to allow fear to cripple us anymore. You're not going to allow fear to cripple you anymore. You're fighting an uphill battle unless you have the tools needed to fight against it. And that's what we're doing here today. So we got what we're doing Monday through Friday. We got what we're doing in the morning. We have a solid understanding of what fear is and how we can do this. I want you to succeed, but you can't even get in the ring to perform or fail if you let fear stop you from even starting. So we can't do that, right? And sometimes fear is subtle. Sometimes fear is very bold and apparent. But it's about knowing and understanding yourself enough to know the difference. So this week, I want you to hit it hard. We're already in February. This time is flying. It's not just about your goals. It's about doing what you have to do every single day. Like, what can you do today? Tomorrow doesn't matter. Yesterday doesn't matter. Again, I love anime. My favorite anime, Re:Zero. From zero, like starting life from zero. Like every single day is a new day to start. Don't be too hard on yourself. It doesn't matter if you said last night, I'm going to kill it. I'm going to hold myself accountable. I'm going to do this thing. And then the next day comes and it's 3 p.m. and you already didn't do it. That doesn't mean the whole day is wasted. All that means is right there in that moment, you have an opportunity to change and say, you know what? I'm resetting right now in this moment. I'm going to make the rest of this day count. So it's not about babying yourself. It's not about being too hard on yourself. It's about understanding where you are and what you can do in this moment to move forward. And then acknowledge that. That doesn't mean you throw yourself a party like, hey, I just did one little thing. Give me the cookie. Give me all the cookies, all the DoubleTree cookies we want. No. You shouldn't need praise to do the bare minimum. But at the same time, you have to recognize that. Don't downplay it. Oh, I didn't do. You just went from not being able to follow through and you just followed through. That is a solid step. Now, tomorrow can be day 2. Tomorrow will be day 2. You don't have to keep on starting over. But most of this stuff is mental. And I know most people think mindset is just this woo-woo thing. But at the same time, like I said before, ask any successful entrepreneur, it's all about mindset. It truly is. And you can't let fear consume you, you know. Referencing that story, I had to get my favorite drink. I love coffee. I had my coffee. You know, you need your favorite song, get you in the mood before you tackle something, and then get to it. You know, you only fail if you stop trying. And if you try and then you stop trying, oh man, that's even worse. Just keep going after it. You really can do it, you know? You truly can do it. Yeah. So that's how you face fear. This is a fun one. I have so much I want to tackle. I'm going to start making, again, if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to start making some more video content on the YouTube channel, not to flood it with videos. I'm trying to keep it to just about 2 or 3 videos a week. I've had some really good reception from the day in the life and the interview videos, because like I said before, I can show you better than I can tell you. That's a lie. I could probably tell you way better than I could show you, but at the same time, I understand people, I understand psychology and visual learners, perception, all that stuff. But at the same time, I enjoy making these videos. I appreciate every single subscriber I got. Went from if I go from 25 to 26 subscribers or 26, 27 subscribers, I love that. That means somebody listened to what I did and they're rocking with me. So I'm putting everything I can into this content for you. That's why I want you to share this with somebody, especially if you made it 39 minutes or whatever, like 30 something minutes into this, that means you rock with me. So I'm putting everything I can into this. Yeah, you don't get a night video today. It's daytime, as you can see. So I guess I'm gonna get to editing this video, get this podcast episode out. We're making a little bit of progress here and here and here, but that's all what it is. It's a long-term goal. This isn't about short dopamine hits, you know. So like I said, share this with somebody else, share this with another entrepreneur you know. And yeah, you know, I had one person ask me already, like, "Oh, Kyle, you only got a couple shirts?" And I said, yes and no. This is not an ad, but I try to do every single thing I can in something 32 degrees. Whether it's these shirts, oh my God, 32 degrees feels so comfortable. I got the 32 degree sweatpants. I got the 32 degree socks on. I got the 32 degrees bag. This should be an ad. I just rock with it. Some of the most comfortable clothes I've ever had. Can't stop to my whole wardrobe. If you guys start making suits, then it's really my whole wardrobe. But yeah, conquering fear. So with that being said, I'm out. Follow me Instagram at kyle.jerome.carter, YouTube Kyle Jerome Carter. Share, support, whatever you got to do. Till the next time.